Hi, I am Rebecca, and today's Hebrew vocab word is the word Yeshua. Now, Yeshua is the name of our Messiah, his real name. Let me read you something from Matthew 1:21. She will bear a son, and you will name him Yeshua, because he will Yoshia, or save, his people from their sins. Some people pronounce his name and spell his name Yeshua, but our family actually prefers Yeshua, the spelling and the pronunciation of Yeshua. And this is primarily because the spelling and the pronunciation of Yeshua connects him with the Father better. Yah refers to Yahovah, and Shua means to save. Therefore, Yeshua's name actually means Yahovah saves. All this time we thought that Jesus saves, when in reality it is Yahovah who saves. In Hebrew names, and we totally miss out on these messages from heaven when we insist upon changing them to meet our needs and suit our purposes. Our Messiah himself kept trying to point us to Yahovah, his Father, not to himself. His name even does this. Unfortunately for us, thousands of years later, the translators of the scriptures have not been totally honest with us all of the time. The change of our Messiah's name is a prime example. The book of Matthew was actually originally written in Hebrew, as was probably all the other Gospels. Matthew Shem Tov Hebrew, have you heard of that? It's been found recently, and they know that Matthew was actually written in Hebrew. And there's a lot of benefits to knowing the original Hebrew script of Matthew. Plan forged in hell, the translators lost not only the name of Yahovah to antiquity, but also the name of our Messiah. Not only did they replace Yahovah's name with, little capital L-O-R-D, but they also replaced our Messiah's name with a name that really means nothing in particular: Jesus. As royal priests, we are to reclaim territory for Yahovah that has been stolen by the enemy. So here we go. Our Messiah is a Hebrew from the line of Judah. He spoke Hebrew, he read Hebrew. His family was Hebrew, his friends were Hebrew, his disciples were Hebrew. He celebrated the Hebrew holy days. His culture was Hebrew. Everything around him was Hebrew, including his name. His name is not Jesus. It's never been Jesus because, for one, there is no J in the Hebrew language. But more important than that, his name is not Jesus, because that is not the name that Yahovah named him. Angel Gabriel, or however you say that in Hebrew, told Joseph, or actually more correct, Yosef, to name him Yeshua, not Jesus. Neither is Jesus the English transliteration of his Hebrew name. Really, people? We have to actually argue the idea that we have to say his name in English because the Hebrew is too hard for us to say. Or that the English name would make us identify with him better. That's a pretty pathetic argument against using his given name. It is a privilege and an honor to say the very name that Yeshua himself chose and bestowed upon his son and our Messiah. One of the biggest blocks to understanding who our Messiah is, what his mission was, and what he requires of us is the fact that we have actually been calling him by a wrong name. So Isaac, my husband, wrote, "What I want to stress is that we have replaced the historical Yeshua with a Jesus that fits our expectations. We have molded him in our image and cast him in the role we wish him to act out. As such, we no longer listen to his words as we should, and we find ourselves content in our religious makeup, presuming that somehow God will accept our drama." Now I know that many of my friends think that I am just calling him by his Jewish name, but Yeshua is not his Jewish name. The angel did not say, okay, name him Yeshua while he's alive, and then after he's risen and gone to heaven, you may change his name to Jesus, because it might be too hard for English speakers, who are the most important people on the earth, to pronounce his Jewish name, and therefore he needs a more Platonic name to appeal to the masses. No, that is actually insanity. And that is extremely dishonoring to Yeshua and to Yehovah. Yeshua was his name, it is his name, and it will always be his name forever. Of course, we may have to adjust how we pronounce it once we hear him say it, once we hear his father say it as well. But nevertheless, just as your friend Carlos was named Carlos, is Carlos, will always be Carlos, not Sam, not Eric, not David, not Ken. His name is Carlos, so it is with Yeshua. Rebecca, was named Rebecca. I am Rebecca. I will always be Rebecca unless Yehovah changes my name someday. It's never Sally or Susan or, Mary. In the case of Yeshua, Jesus is just plainly not his name. And there's no record of him or his father ever telling the planet they had changed his name. No matter what you think about this or how you're perceiving this, it's not what his name is. Yehovah did not tell his parents to name him Jesus. He told them to name him Yeshua. Yeshua means Yehovah saves. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to be found calling his son by a different name than what his father gave him. Can you imagine calling his son something other than the name that was bestowed upon him and that he was commanded to be called? Oh, no. Nope. No, I am smarter than that. I do not need to test Yehovah on this. This seems to me like a duh. When I discovered this and found this out, I did a quick repentance and turned the other way and started calling him by his real name. I hope you do the same. Also, did you know that our Messiah is mentioned by name in the Old Testament or the Tanakh almost 100 times? That's what I hear. Go ahead and look for it, but if you're going to look for the name Jesus, you won't find it. This is one of the reasons that the Old Testament and the New Testament do not seem like a seamless story. His name is there, but you will actually have to look for the name that was given to him by Yehovah. Try looking in the scriptures for something along the lines of Yeshua or forms of Yeshua. Remember what Yeshua means? Yehovah saves. I think that sounds like a really neat major treasure hunt to do. So let me give you just a couple examples of that. In Isaiah 49:6, he says, I will also give you my Yeshua, or my salvation, to be a light for the nations to the end of the earth. Who is the light of the world? Of course, it's Yeshua. He was speaking of Yeshua. And then do you remember the story in Luke 2:26 when Simeon and Anna come to the temple at the same time when Miriam and Joseph are bringing Yeshua to fulfill the commandments in the Torah about what you do with a little baby boy at 8 days old? Do you remember that? So Simeon actually takes Yeshua in his arms and he says, now dismiss your servant in peace, Adonai, according to your word, because my eyes saw your Yeshua, or your salvation. So I know that if you've been speaking the true name of our Messiah for a long time, you may say it a little differently than I do. I have a lot of friends that say it different ways. Some people say Yeshua, or some people say Yehoshua, or some form of that. But the point here is that Jesus is not his name. So if you are new to this Hebrew journey, this may be a shock for you. I remember when my family and I came out of organized religion and we began this Hebrew journey. I lived 35 plus years as a Christian without knowing the name of my God and my Messiah. And then to discover their true names, it was quite a journey. All I can say is it was wonderful and strange all at the same time. When I'd say their names, I'd get weird looks, or people would scowl at me, or they'd ask me what I was saying, or it felt weird. It felt wrong sometimes, like I had no right to say their names. But it also felt empowering, and it felt life-giving, and it was beautiful. But you don't think that you can actually change the way you say the name of the Messiah? Oh, sure you can. You can make a new habit. Anybody can. Old dogs, they can be taught new tricks. You can retrain your brain and you can make a new habit. And that's pretty much what it is. It's conviction and then habit. Be convicted and then change your ways by making a new habit. So the way that I made this new habit, I remember laying in bed at night and I would whisper their names over and over and over. I just love the sound of their names. It was like I was meeting them for the first time. I was captivated and enchanted by their names. I began to see that the names God and Jesus and Lord were harsh and cold, and they didn't have much depth. But when I began to say the true names, the Hebrew names of our God, their actual names, Yeshua and Yahweh and Yahweh, they were lovely to say, rich and full of meaning, and I felt blessed every time I said their names. Of course it took me a while to make that change. It's a big change. It's actually probably one of the biggest things you will ever do. If you're a Christian, you've been saying Jesus for your whole life, it's a huge change to make this. It happened for me. I know it can for you. And now I wouldn't be caught calling him by any other name ever. So remember that there is no deep meaning in the word Jesus. It's actually a poor transliteration from the Greek Zeus. If it had to be translated, a better English transliteration would have been Joshua. Any meaning that a believer associates with the word Jesus has been placed on it after the fact. Not because there's any real meaning in the word itself, but there is a ton of meaning in the word Yeshua. Yahuwah was sending a message through the name of his son to the world. Our Messiah's name means Yahuwah saves. I just love the way the Father and the Son's names work together. So now the question becomes not what would Jesus do, but actually what would Yeshua do? And that, my friend, when you answer that question, that will change your entire life. Pronounce his name, his true name, the name that was given to him by Yahuwah himself. So let's practice pronouncing it. You can pronounce it in different ways, but you're going to learn the way I pronounce it because I'm the one teaching you right now, okay? So we're going to say it Yeshua, 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 Yeshua. Yeshua, the rightful king, the bridegroom, the son of Yahuwah, the lamb, our brother. So when you hear me say the word Yeshua, now you know what I mean. I'm talking about Yahuwah's son. So how can you apply this to your life now? Because it's no good to learn something unless you do it. So to apply this now, anywhere in the scriptures, when you read the scriptures, anywhere you see the word Jesus, the name Jesus, now you have permission to replace it with Yeshua. So anytime you speak of the Messiah, don't call him Jesus anymore. Call him by the name that was given to him by his Father himself, Yeshua. Teach your children the name of their Messiah, and you will be blessed for swimming upstream. For I know this is going to be a hard journey for you. It is for many people, but you can do it. And I pray that Yehovah blesses you for doing it. So thank you for joining me. Until next time, bye-bye. So I wanted to go through this stack of books with you. You must have a Strong's Concordance in your home. This is very crucial, and I remember when I got chastised by one of my friends for not having one, and my family went and bought me one. Very, very nice. So you must have a Strong's Concordance in your home for your research and your study. This is a Bible. I love this Bible. This was given to me by my parents at our wedding. And this one is my husband's grandpa's Bible. It has 4 translations next door to each other, so you can cross-reference, cross-figure things out, which is really cool. He loves it. And this one is a Hebraic Roots Bible. I found this online. I honestly don't know quite where to get it. If I can figure it out, I will put a link here, but I really like it because it uses Yahweh and Yeshua in this translation. And then this one is my favorite. It's the Chronological Gospels. It's by Michael Rood and his team at Rood Awakening. It's the life and 70-week ministries of our Messiah, and it takes you through the Messiah's life chronologically, so you can see where he was at different times of the year during his life here. And I love this book. The commentaries are fabulous, and it's a little hard to find the text, but that's the problem that he was trying to solve, is he actually takes you all the way through. So it makes his life a story, a seamless story, and some things, his commentaries in there are amazing, and it will change the way you view what Yeshua was up to and what his mission was. So there you go. I'm sure your stack looks bigger. I have more stacks, but this is what I wanted to show you today.